2, 1, me. Hey guys, Tom from Hemp Factory. Thank you for tuning in, and I wanted to do a video that is a follow-up from the one that I did last week, which was about chronic pain and stress. I described a few things about how I figured out the link between my chronic pain and my stress levels. The more chronic pain you're in, the more susceptible you are to stress. The more stress you're in, the more susceptible you are to your pain and not being able to deal with that pain. Obviously very linked to your neural inflammation in your brain and your general inflammation in your gut. And I didn't really give you guys any tools on how to deal with those things naturally, because like I said, it's been 8 years without me using any off-the-shelf painkillers like your codeines and your ibuprofen, even your Voltaren tablets, anything like that. All of these things come along with pretty serious side effects. Ibuprofen, for one, is really bad for your gut and your gut lining, can cause bleeding in your gut, and is really bad for a lot of inflammatory gut issues and even makes them worse. An anti-inflammatory that causes inflammation, no thank you. Then you've got your codeine. Opioids are obviously an epidemic worldwide, things that have your codeine in them that create that sense of euphoria and kill your pain short term. I think it's nearly 4 in 100,000 Australians. I think a study was done in 2016 saying about 4 in 100,000 Australians die directly from opioid overdose, and then obviously there's a much larger number of those that die from related illnesses to do with their opioid addiction. It's something that you really want to try and steer clear of, and I have for quite a period of time. Brain and central nervous system is one of the first steps you really have to think about when you're dealing with any type of pain level, because obviously your brain is your supercomputer. It tells everything how to run, it tells you what's going on, it tells you where there's pain, and then the central nervous system is like the relay system that happens between that pain and your brain and your thought process, and it sort of relays that information about, hey, this is going on here, that's going on there. But also it's a two-way system, so the brain sends down signals on your organs and your heart to make them really function properly. So how do we support the brain? One of the major things for supporting the brain is your essential fatty acids, like your omega-3s and your omega-6s. Obviously I mentioned before, hemp oil is really good for this, for neural inflammation, and obviously fish oil is as well. But if you're a vegan, obviously you don't want fish oils, and there is a risk with fish oils with really high levels of mercuries and PCBs, that get picked up from the toxins in the ocean. And if you really want to avoid those, you can try and find a plant-based source like hemp seed oil, for example. This basically helps fatten up cell membranes in your brain and really help it function at a higher level. Your central nervous system is really dependent on minerals. A lot of people are deficient in magnesium. There's a lot of reasons why we'd be deficient in magnesium. If you're in Australia especially, there's issues with magnesium absorption in our soil as far as the foods that we eat. So that, amongst so many other different little factors you wouldn't think of, is why we would be deficient in magnesium. So that's a really important mineral for our central nervous system to help all the organs function correctly. It helps with your brain health as well. Antioxidants is the other thing. So one thing I mentioned maybe in the last video, maybe I didn't, I take a antioxidant and a magnesium blend. The antioxidant, so the coenzyme Q10, which is a cofactor antioxidant, basically helps the magnesium get transported through the blood-brain barrier, get absorbed properly, and really give that support to your central nervous system. Without trying to do too much of a product plug, your hemp oil and your hemp seeds and your hemp protein also have a really good recommended daily intake amount of your magnesium as well. And obviously antioxidants can be found in a lot of things like your vegetables, but if you want to take sort of a trace kind of antioxidants like coenzyme Q10, you can find blends like those to use in those type of supplements to help support the brain and the central nervous system. This may seem like a no-brainer in our overall general health, but hydration or dehydration and dealing with your pain levels. Now, a lot of people go, yeah, obviously I know I need to be hydrated because it's good for health, but you know, whether you actually know why you need to be hydrated and how it's linked to your chronic pain is another issue. Most of our body's water is stored in our connective tissues, like your tendons and your ligaments and things like that. And what happens when you're dehydrated Your body needs to draw water from somewhere. When it needs water, it wants to draw it from somewhere. So what happens is it draws it from your connective tissues, and your connective tissues get dried out. You're more prone to injuries. Inflammation can accumulate in those areas, and obviously a lot of connective tissue is in the joints, where a lot of people get pain, whether it's in your knees, your ankles, your shoulders, your hips, all the joints running down through your spine. Inflammation can accumulate in those areas if it's not holding the correct amount of water. If we're not having enough water, that can be a really big driver of chronic pain. So I really make sure I'm hydrated all the time, and I drink really good water. Now, I sound like a bit of a weirdo and a hippie, and a lot of my friends think I'm a weirdo and a hippie, and so do my family. When I say good water, what that means is I don't drink tap water. And it's not any type of conspiracy theory. Like, obviously I try and avoid fluoride, and I'll tell you a bit of a story about why I avoid that other than what you read on the internet. And then there's just a lot of free radicals and toxins within our water supply that you might not know of, like all the old pipes that they come out of. Either can get a filtration system that does like a reverse osmosis or an activation system on your water, or you can find a station. Like Courtney and I found a station down the road. We've got this BPA free plastic 15 litre drum, and we go fill it up for like $4, and it's removed of all the fluoride, and it's had the reverse osmosis system to remove a lot of those toxins and free radicals that are in that water. I mean, take it as you want. It might be weird going and paying for water, and I sound entitled, but the problem is not the amount of water that you take in or the water you're drinking out of the tap. Is just the quality of the water and the absorption of that water, and what my body is willing to take in. And if there's a lot of toxins within that water, things like fluoride, not that small amounts in the water are very toxic. Over time they can be, but that's not the point. It's more about your body going, what the hell is this? I don't want to take it in. And the amount of water you actually absorb to what you drink is really dependent on the quality of water that you drink. The story I have about fluoride: years ago I used to drive a truck. I had a dangerous goods license, so I could go pick up chemicals and drop them off to certain places and plants and things like that. One day I got instructed to go to a chemical plant. When I got to the chemical plant, I had to stay in the truck and put on a full hazmat suit, so from head to toe, and I had to put on a breathing respirator and goggles, and I had to stay inside the truck before they would let me into the chemical plant. So I drove into the chemical plant. They got 6 pallets put on the back of my truck, drove out of the chemical plant, and then they gave me delivery instructions were to go to SEQ water out by Wivenhoe Dam, where the water treatment plant is. So I drove out to the water treatment plant. When I arrived there, the guy came up to the truck. He said, "Oh, you got the fluoride?" I said, "Yeah, that's what it looks like. I've got 6 barrels of fluoride powder." He goes, "Don't get out of the truck, keep your hazmat suit on, keep your respirator on. We're just going to back you up to the door." I back up to the door. They open the back of the truck. They had this special forklift, pick the bale up, take it out, and basically dump the fluoride powder into our water supply. Now obviously that gets diluted over megatons of water. I wasn't able to ingest even like a pinky nail worth of that powder because it caused some type of lung disease and would basically kill you within weeks. That goes into our water. So when you're doing stuff like that and you see that go into your water and how toxic it is, but I know it gets diluted, it just really makes me reluctant to want to drink it. I know there's a lot of people that say it's woo-woo and there's benefits to it, it's good for your teeth, but I mean, whatever man, I'm not going to drink it. Quality of your water. The third thing, your natural herbs and your natural foods, anti-inflammatory foods. So turmeric has a compound called curcumin. Don't know if you've heard of it. It's a really powerful anti-inflammatory. Like with all natural therapies, it really needs a level of discipline because you need to take things consistently. Every night before I go to bed and sometime in mid-morning, I'll take a curcumin tablet as an anti-inflammatory, and whether I'm in pain or not in pain, I try and keep this up consistently with as much discipline as I can. It takes time for this stuff to accumulate in your body and really taking effect, but I'll take that over any day dealing with maybe having to transition to something natural over a few weeks time, rather than just going through this constant cycle of using the codeines and the ibuprofens and really never getting rid of the root cause of the inflammatory problem of where it comes from in the first place. Food plays a major factor in your anti-inflammatory process as well. Your sugars, your refined carbs, and your processed sugars and your refined sugars, things like that really affect your gut inflammation and can be maybe a potential overall cause of the pain you're in the first place. So really got to look at the type of foods that you're taking in. Garlic and ginger as well are really good. I use a lot of that in cooking, so I don't really supplement on top of that. Mainly it's the curcumin tablet. So they're 3 basic ways that I deal with the health on different levels as far as dealing with pain levels. Obviously I'm not in pain all the time, but I have bouts where I do, having osteoarthritis, and I know for a fact if I'm dehydrated and I really haven't looked at the intake of water I've had, if I've really been kind of complacent with my supplements like the omega fatty acids and the curcumin and the magnesium and the CoQ10, all those things, you know, I might find myself in a pickle with having a bit of back pain and not dealing with it properly. I hope this information has really helped. I had a few people ask us the last video, so what are the ways that you deal with pain? So I just wanted to share that information. I've written a detailed blog about it as well with all the research articles attached to it, so you guys can check that out. I hope this information helps, and I hope you can try and find a way to transition as much as you can into that kind of natural way to deal with your pain, because it's really going to have a lot of benefits in the long run. You just need to stop masking that short-term pain with that off-the-shelf shit that you don't need. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.